the life and service of Rev.Canon Dr John Ssenyonyi in Uganda Christian University. Talking about Uganda Christian University, there are names that pop out quickly. As a bishop is to the diocese, so is Rev.Canon Dr John Ssenyonyi to Uganda Christian University. Meet the man who has been the face of this great institution. Born in 1956 in Nakasongola district, to the late Rev.Kimu Kaja, a school teacher, and Mrs. Kaja, a full-time housewife, he is among 13 children in the family. Dr. Ssenyonyi is an academic, a theologian, and an administrator, but most importantly, a servant of God.
He's the one who put the structure we have in the chaplaincy in place. He ensured there is real worshipping of the students, ensured there is a principal's hour, ensured there is a mission. There was a mission, but when he came, it was intensified mission because he's a man with the heart for mission.
When Professor No left, we thank God that somebody, the university, had to bring in Rev.Canon Ssenyonyi to become the university vice chancellor. We celebrated. 1, is a man of the church. 2, is a man of God. 3, we knew he's born again. 4, he was an academician. So we said now we can do, the university is going to be wonderful because the man coming in to replace Professor No, in the fact he
was very, and we used to call him Chap. I liked the way he received that because you know when students nickname you either become paranoid or take it on and you move with them.
He studied in Deja Senior Secondary School and King's College Budo, where he developed passion for mathematics. Later, Dr. Ssenyonyi was admitted to the University of Nairobi in Kenya, where he graduated with a Bachelor of Science in 1978. He also holds a Master of Arts in Theology from Trinity International University in the United States of America. Dr. Ssenyonyi obtained a PhD in Mathematical Statistics from the University of Melbourne in Australia in 1984. After studies, he returned to Uganda and began lecturing at Makerere University, the largest and oldest of Uganda's public institutions of higher learning. Later, Dr. John Ssenyonyi received a conviction to serve God, a decision that saw him join African Evangelistic Enterprise.
I knew him as an evangelist because he was working with the African Evangelical Enterprise, and I used to see him preaching the gospel.
I knew Dr. Ssenyonyi as a preacher in Makerere University, but I remember first seeing him in close proxy was in 1979. We were all living on the campus at the time, and it was during the Idi Amin war. And there was a food crisis and shortages in the country. And I remember the Vice Chancellor then of Makerere University organized that the university truck goes to Kabanyo, which is the university farm, picks up some foodstuffs and are brought to the university and offered to the staff members. So because of shortage, when this lorry came, there was an auto scramble, people wanting to be in the queue, number 1, to get the foodstuffs. I remember Dr. Ssenyonyi standing on the side, waiting for all this to settle, and he will have his chance. So I could see a peaceful, diplomatic, and sober-minded person.
So I first got to know Dr. Ssenyonyi many years back, when I was actually in high school in Gayaza. And at that time, we used to have what we call Christian Club on Sundays. So they used to bring in different preachers from outside to speak to us, and the schedule would be up before each Sunday, so we would know which preacher is coming. What I remember clearly is whenever Dr. Ssenyonyi's name was up, sometimes he would come with his wife, whenever his name was up, the chapel would be full because there was a lot of excitement, not just about the way he preached, but he was very friendly, and we made it a point to attend Christian club whenever Dr. Ssenyonyi was the preacher.
He came to Uganda Christian University as the university chaplain, where he was tasked with strengthening the Christian foundation of UCU.
Came as a university chaplain, very vibrant, born again, God-fearing, and a man of integrity. So we received him and as a chaplain of the university. Good enough, I was in the committee of the chaplaincy of the university as a student. We welcomed him, and what I remember about Dr. Ssenyonyi, when he came in as a chaplain, he found that the work of chaplaincy in the university was, I can say it was disorganized. We had so many fellowships, almost every classroom had a fellowship and of a different denomination.
And I remember then, because I was a member of Bakana and Kobazambogo, and as a student, I remember then what we call the Senga of the association organized the straight talk, where you are supposed to talk about living as young adults. And he brought in people from, I don't know which network, but they were teaching about the use of condoms. But I remember vividly as a student, the teaching was going on in Principal's Hall, when the chaplain learned that there are people who came to teach students without permission, and he stormed in and he stopped the discussion. And I want to believe that thereafter, he became a face that we saw more often, and it was not a situation that you would have to forget as a student.
His love for Christ is unquestionable, and he brings it in the workplace.
So I learned from that high as he was from AE, very widely traveled and so on, well educated, but he came down to be with students and the high chap, that kind of thing. It was nice.
He was appointed the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Finance and Administration in 2003. Ssenyonyi served as the DVC Finance and Administration for 3 years and later occupied a newly created position, Deputy Vice Chancellor for Development and External Relations.
By that time when we joined, Dr. Ssenyonyi was a Deputy Vice Chancellor.
Deputy Vice Chancellor, Finance and Administration, very approachable. Finances it's not very easy to be approachable when you are in charge of finance. But yes, I remember once or twice us librarians taking issues to him. And one thing I love about Dr. Ssenyonyi, he's a reader. When you work with a reader as a librarian, forget this traditional librarian, which people think we are just here to be stamping and receiving books and giving rules and orders. Ssenyonyi is a reader. And because of that, we've worked so well with him, right from the time he was Deputy Vice Chancellor, DER, and now, remember, Vice Chancellor. In fact, as Vice Chancellor, I've had lots of interactions with him, both online and physical.
I've seen him even as a Deputy Vice Chancellor of Development and External Relations. I worked closely with him for the fundraising of the Mokasa Library. When I was a student, I was co-opted, when I was a staff to that particular team. So Dr. Ssenyonyi led us as a Deputy Vice Chancellor to mobilize. I participated in 2 particular fundraising sessions, one in Serena Hotel, the other was in Imperial Resort, it was in Imperial Royal Hotel. And we would organize those dinners, and we would have all the different people like the late Wafla, the late Ivan Chayonka.
When the Reverend Professor Stephen Knoll was retiring, the next question was, who would succeed him? In September 2010, The Rev.Canon Dr John Ssenyonyi was appointed by the then 7th Archbishop of the Province of the Church of Uganda, Right Reverend Henry Luke Orombi, as the new Vice-Chancellor.
Was mentored already by Professor Noel. He worked alongside him. He's homegrown. He knew UCU that very well. And what I thought at the time was the trust that Professor Noel had in him.
And when he succeeded Professor Stephen Noel, I think Professor Noel did a great work of mentoring him.
And the trust is always good because somebody who is local and local bred and people can trust him, let alone a Muzungu can trust him, meaning he has seen quality in the person.
You know what we are lacking in most of our institutions is mentoring. Some people do good work, but mentoring others who succeed them is not something we have given it priority.
And so we were very thankful about the honest assessment by Professor Noel of who the man is. And I've known John from ever since he was with AEE way back. So I know the person.
We've had also wonderful vice-chancellors, and we had Professor Stephen Noel, who was my vice-chancellor by then when I was a student. And we also got his successor, the Rev.Canon Dr John Ssenyonyi, who has done a great work, and I'm so grateful.
When Professor Noel left, we thank God that somebody, the university, had to bring in Rev.Canon Ssenyonyi to become the university vice-chancellor.
During his vice-chancellorship, the university grew academically and in its infrastructure. He extended Siwambi Hall, supported sports talent, constructed roads, advocated for reclaiming of Ntawa University land, and much more.
One of the other things that Uganda Christian University has been well known for is its infrastructure. The infrastructure that enables the student to feel that they are entering an academic institution.
In 10 years, UCU has grown, both in number, quality, infrastructure.
Developments have taken place, managing to even secure their land in town. You know, by the time Professor Dr. No left, they had a problem of how are they going to utilize their land in town. Much as they got some problems there because the land is having is occupied by Vivanja holders, but at least they fixed the document, which maybe in the future, if they can have serious discussion with the Vivanja holders and they will compensate them well, we can have another extension on the other side.
I'm believing in specialists. If you have a particular skill, you have some particular technical knowledge that you have, is the person who would give you the space to maximize your talent and give you the right support that you need to make sure that you score for Uganda Christian University.
On the HR side, HR is not easy. It's very complicated because you're dealing with people. It has so many things, so many issues cropping up every other day. And he was always a source of wisdom. When I needed to consult, when I needed advice, he was always available, which for me, was really good. But also his wisdom, he's a very dynamic person. He is not your ordinary clergyman.
As the committee, which Dr. Ssenyonyi was part of, they asked all of us staff to contribute something to the library. This is one building I'm particularly very, very proud of because it has monies from many, many, many hands. I remember we were asked to contribute part of our salary. I don't remember the year or the month, but we did contribute money, every one of us, if I can be correct, they went by department, so we would pledge that our department will bring so much, and then we would authorize the bursar to deduct.
Closely with him for the fundraising of the Mukasa Library. When I was a student, I was co-opted, when I was staff to that particular team. So Dr. Ssenyonyi led us as the Deputy Vice Chancellor to mobilize. I participated in two particular fundraising sessions, one in Serena Hotel, the other was in Imperial Resort, which was Imperial Royal Hotel, and would organize those dinners.
He's so supportive, not only for academics, but also we worked a little closely in sports when I was then acting sports tutor, and he supported sports fully. Actually, what you see of sports today is because of his love and support and knowing the role of sports in the life of students.
Know that the land was donated to church by the Ham Mukasa family. So he looked into all those to name the library Ham Mukasa, which really pleased not only the Mukasa family, but the entire community and Uganda. Because when you are able to recognize the good things done for you, then you pick a tick. So not only the library, but even the extension of putting up the new gate, the playgrounds, supporting our students, vulnerable ones.
He has supported capacity building of academic staff, expanded programs and grants, oversaw the installation of the e-learning lab, networked with international partners to support the university with funds and personnel.
Ssenyonyi invited me to come and walk alongside of faculty and administration here as far as faith learning and service are concerned.
In the academia also we've experienced his leadership, where we've seen faculties grow, but more importantly, his emphasis on capacity building and research in academia has been very, very important. I think which is the core in any academic life, capacity building and then research at university level. So I should say Dr. Ssenyonyi has done UCU a great deal.
As a family, we are greatly indebted to him because he has been very supportive to us in many ways. And it's our hope and prayer that even as he goes into retirement, the good Lord will guide him new path that he and his family will choose to lead.
I am a Kenyan by nationality, and one thing that I may mention about Dr. Ssenyonyi is he is actually the reason why I am still working at Uganda Christian University. When the Internal Affairs Ministry increased the work permit fees to about 16 million in just 2 years, it became so hard for me to actually afford that fees. I was scheduled to go back home in 2015. It took a phone call and an email to get me a work permit.
Ngabwe yayiga bweyatambulanga ne mukama waffe Nolo kubanga era Nolo gwe nasangawo visi nti nga visi Nolo tasobola kusanga kacupa n'akalekaawo nti olwokuba nti agenda okalonda alina kuba westate alina kuba waaki kati naffe ng'abakulembeze kyentera okukyemwigiddeko nti wadde abadde mukulu abadde mukama waffe mukulu naye nga akola n'ekintu omuntu kyawansi kyalikoze.
Ssenyonyi has been a father to students from all walks of life. He has hosted students from the USA, Kenya, Nigeria, among others. He has also mentored them spiritually and academically.
He looked at us as children. So you've been a father to all of us. You've cared so much. And I believe your spirit will keep on within us. We shall miss you so much.
He's someone that has improved on my character, in that he has given me to know that speaking the truth is the real way to go.
He's always seated next to you. I only got to know him the first time during community worship, when I was seated actually in front, and I didn't know my neighbor was my vice chancellor.
Said in some community worship, no excuses, no telling lies in my home. That's what he says. That's the rule of his home. No telling lies, no excuses. And one thing that I will live to remember him for is that he always speaks the truth, and to some extent, if it is hitting on a person, they would call it's being arrogant, it's being rude, but he speaks the truth and he throws the ball on your hands. You either pick it or you leave it. You either take in the word or you leave it. And I liked it particularly because it was the plain truth and it was the gospel to us. And it has built me and I've learned.
Until when they called him up to speak and he went. Initially, in most institutions, heads of department or head teachers or vice chancellors, they have special seats. You see them sitting up and you know, oh, this is a vice chancellor's seat. But for him, you would enter and sit where he's supposed to sit, and he will be your neighbor. So that's one thing I really liked about Dr. Ssenyonyi, and that taught me a lot. Actually, that it showed me a different perspective of a leader, just like, of course, my mentor. And then I ensured that if I'm to become a leader here, it should be a person I can run to in case I'm troubled, because I've seen how he has been handling. So I became a guild president.
Dr. Ssenyonyi was like a connecting rod between the university and its community. He signed Memorandum of Understanding with Mukono Municipality, the Red Cross Society of Uganda, Mukono Diocese, and others. Relationship with the Students' Guild cannot go unmentioned. He bridged the gap between the university administration and the student body. Little wonder there was no strikes during his tenure. He held frequent meetings with student leaders to discuss and respond to issues affecting them.
Of course, we've faced so many challenges as leaders, but one beautiful thing is that I've managed to disrespect formalities. Whenever I find a challenge, I run straight to his office and he will be willing to listen. Recently, before the semester, that was in January, when there was a water shortage at the campus, I was surprised that as early as 6 a.m., Dr. Ssenyonyi was in the halls of residence, ensuring, guiding us where to find water. If you're to realize that in most institutions, the heads do not usually get involved. They delegate to their deputies to be there. But he didn't do that, and he ensured that he told me that, Timothy, in case the water is still a problem, always call me.
The thing that I know is that he's mentored us. He's mentored us in our work. He's given us counsel, he's given us guidance, and in the challenges that we faced, we've been able to share with him openly, and he's guided us. So I've benefited a lot in terms of his counsel and guidance.
The time I've been a mayor, I've associated with him a lot, especially on what we can do, not only to develop the university, but also to develop the community where the university is. And I've been very, very much impressed by his ideas, by his initiatives.
In the academia, there was need for me to have that mentorship. And so he has mentored me very well to be able to work in senior management in the academia. But also in traveling with him and in observing him carry out his work, you also receive mentorship. So I've seen him at work, I've seen how he conducts himself, how he does his work, and it's been a mentorship process.
and his personal interperson skills that he has got. First of all, I've known him as a very concise person in communicating. I've also appreciated quite a lot that wherever he communicates, he puts God in his communication. Another thing is every time he's able to think outside the box and to decide what more can be done.
He is just beyond a person, but I know him as one person who is so hands-on, who is swift, and who does his things perfectly well.
Go to UCU, and then it was exciting, of course, to know that he's the BC at UCU, because then I was comforted that I was going to work with a very good leader, so to speak, and I've never really regretted that. In fact, it's been a really wonderful journey. I know without a doubt that he's been one of the best mentors I've had. His Christian ethos, he doesn't just preach about it, he lives it out. And for me, you know, as somebody sort of working as a subordinate for him, even much as he used to, he nicknamed me Mukama Wafe, which is quite funny. But you know, working under him, it was really very easy for me because he was walking in the light, so to speak.
We don't regret the time Dr. Ssenyonyi has been the Vice Chancellor of Uganda Christianity. And especially this time when Church of Uganda, we took a stand with being faithful to Scripture. Man married to woman. One man married to one woman. And we know some the sponsors and whatever, the university suffered. But we thank God, Dr. Ssenyonyi did not kneel before those people. He stood strong, and the university is leaving the university when everybody is happy.
His leadership qualities are traced from his Christian beliefs and moral family background. Could it be because he was the son of a classroom teacher? Ssenyonyi has been part of the university's values and beliefs. He has lived according to its instruments of identity, which are rule of life, rule of prayer, and rule of faith.
So we hold very high ethical standards, and those are expressed in our document, which is called the Instruments of Identity. And the Instruments of Identity bring out our conduct, our way of life, the rule of life, but they also bring out the rule of worship, that we are a worshiping community.
The heart of evangelism, the heart of reaching out to many, and the passion to ensure that there is transformation. And this is Dr. John Ssenyonyi.
We did a survey halfway through this year of students, graduates, faculty, and others on the characteristics of UCU. And Dr. Ssenyonyi's character, his personality, his commitments come through deeply. This is a place that almost everybody recognizes. Everybody recognizes as a place where Christ is the center of our learning, of our faith, of our community, of all that makes UCU what it is.
And the other thing also that I'm very grateful, because he lives out his Christian, you know, character. It was very easy. For example, all the different committees that I serve on, he would respect committee decisions. The disciplinary committee is one of them, where because he would respect that these people did their due diligence. So when they would come to him with a recommendation, he would not, back off as long as he has all the information that he needed. So that support from him and from management for me has been really wonderful, and I am very grateful for that.
UCU now is one of those institutions in this country with a name. It depends on how the leadership has been, and it has been at the apex of...
You talk about the dress code of Uganda Christian University. Dr. Ssenyonyi is one of the brains behind it. His charismatic leadership has spread beyond the borders of Uganda Christian University. Till the last day of his retirement, Dr. Ssenyonyi served as the chairperson of the Uganda Vice Chancellor's Forum. Here, He will be remembered for advocating for tax waiver on private higher institutions of learning, a message he passed on every gathering attended by government officials.
Presently, neighboring nations are being foresighted about higher education by emphasizing tax holidays, spreading the loan scheme to all qualifying students, and designing equitable laws for both public and private universities. I plead to government to listen to our pleas, which have gone on for years, and operationalize the President's pronouncement for the good of our education and country. We are late for the future. What we now call for is a legal framework to operationalize this speedily. His Excellency has said it before and he has said it again, but what is lacking is the technocrats to follow suit.
In May 2019, he was appointed by the Minister of Education and Sports, Honorable Janet Kataha Museveni, among the 17-member committee which was tasked with analyzing recommendations of the Rende Revisitation Committee report on Makerere University in 2016. Here, they generated a draft white paper on the overall governance and effective management of public university. He is happily married to Dr. Ruth Nantege Ssenyonyi, a daughter to the late Bishop of Namirembe Diocese, Misairi Kauma. Ssenyonyi's love for the family is invaluable. Together with his wife, they counsel and prepare couples for marriage.
I've also known Dr. Ssenyonyi as a family man. In his conversations, the family will never miss out, either as a reference or as an exciting point he wants to share with you.
The love for family, the place of family in the work life, family comes first.
Even put off preaching for him to visit his children. So family has been a priority to him, and he has modeled a true family life to us.
But family has been very important. He loved his family, and that love for his family has been infectious.
I remember it was a very jovial moment in his office. He's got a good laugh. You will not miss that.
Hear him laughing from his office, and would hear him laughing in Pilkington, at least the first.
And his mom always prepared some very good pork. So I would definitely miss that. So I'll be passing from Gulu and from Arua, and I'll just pass Nakasongola and say, oh, I missed that one.
And I am personally very proud to be associated with this university all these years. And I want to believe that the future for this institution is very bright. And for any student that is really looking to study and become the very best, the future is bright at Uganda Christian University.